Hi y'all, Jenny Shaw from Barefoot Abbey here, bringing you this week's edition of Monday Music Musings. If you don't know us already, you might know of our video hymn study, Singing with the Saints, or some of our podcasts, the Baby Proof Your Homeschool podcast, and Liturgical Listening. So this week I wanted to continue our discussion on hymn study in the home and talk about how adding the practice of solfege study in with it can really enrich that learning of hymns. So if you're not familiar with what solfege is, you may have heard the song in The Sound of Music, do a deer, a female deer, re a drop of golden sun. And that is basically an introduction to solfege. She's showing that every note has a syllable assigned to it in a scale, a key, or that octave, and that helps you know which note you're singing at the time. And the history of solfege actually goes back to a medieval monk called Guido d'Arezzo. And at the time, there was not a standard modern music notation. So in the monasteries, the monks that are learning all these elaborate chants and saving medieval music for us were having to learn all these, elaborate pieces of music using basically just ear training. They had to hear what the choir master said and sung, and then they had to repeat that. And, using this call and response type of technique and just mimicking what they heard. They couldn't really look at anything to tell them what they were supposed to be singing note-wise, and they just had to rely on, memorizing it as quickly as possible and hoping it was right based on what they heard sung. And what Guido did is he took the first syllable of the lines in a hymn to St. John the Baptist, and he made those the syllables for a note, one for each note in a key. And it's basically the same as the ones we use now, other than the first one, which he had as ut as opposed to do. So instead of do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, he had ut, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. And, he used those to then have the choir master be able to say, we're going to be singing do, sol here. And, all the monks would know it's do, sol. And it really, really sped up the learning of music, that memorization, and really changed music theory for the whole world. That's what led to our modern music notation. So if you want to find out more information on him, there is a real sweet little picture book that I can link to about him. And, then you can find out more. And why would we want to, knowing this other than the historical connection, why would we want to spend time adding, the study of solfege to our busy lives, to our hymn study? And especially for our home, I have 5 little boys. So anything that I can do to help them, learning, I'm going to do. And we know through science, we know through research that movement helps to turn on the learning parts of their brains more readily. Girls don't really need that. They're wired a little differently. But boys, they've found that, when you activate that movement part of the brain, it helps to activate the learning part. So when we add the hand signs to that, learning, whatever we're learning, if we add movement to it, it's going to help little boys learn it and memorize it more easily. So that's one of the main reasons we do it in our home. But also, we know that anytime we are, adding more activities, more exposure to something, we're going to remember it more easily. So if we have something else to draw on, like the hand signals, those hand signs of do, re, mi, that they will have something else to latch onto and help in the memorization of the real things we want them to remember which is the text. We want that written on their heart so that they can draw on it as an adult later on for hard times. So we want that catechesis in there, and that can help the memorization. We also can see patterns in the actual form of the music when we do the solfege, because we can see where parts repeat in a different way instead of just hearing it. Because we can sometimes trick ourselves that, oh yeah, it kind of sounds the same, things like that. But if we have the syllables going, we can know for sure. And, in hymns, usually if it's a 4-line hymn, sometimes the first 2 lines will repeat, or the first and the third line will repeat. And if we can see that pattern, we can remember more readily. The last thing I wanted to talk about, this is kind of if you can take time for this, just a couple minutes, each week, you can really see a benefit. And that benefit is that if you walk into church one day and there's a brand new hymn that you have not seen before, if you have this basis, if you have this foundation of the solfege and knowing just where each note is in relative to the key, then, at some point you can start to know how the music is going to sound without even have heard it before. So you can just look at the notes on the page and see what that would sound like and know how to sing that hymn. So this is a great skill, as they grow, and one that can be cultivated without, a lot of time. This is not like an hour of study each day and things like that. This is just a little bit at a time, a few minutes. So if you want to get started in this practice and adding solfege to your hymn study each month as part of Singing with the Saints, we have the solfege video, and then also the sheet with the hand signs, for y'all to follow along with. And that's just a free part of our video hymn study there. So look for the Singing with the Saints solfege videos for each month's hymn if you would like to get started on that. And, any suggestions you have, as usual, just send me a direct message, or you can head on over to barefootabbey.com/M3 to use that contact box there, or, to see our previous episodes. So that's all I have for this week. I hope you decide that solfege is worth adding to your hymn study, and I hope that you take advantage of our resources to help with that through Singing with the Saints. So until next week, just keep making a joyful noise.